Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. This is the section of the Bhagavatam and the particular verse that is for the ongoing classes every day. Some exceptional verses from another part of Bhagavatam were selected the last few days. We're reading about the Damodar Leela, wherein the Absolute Truth, Parabrahman, in the form of a very small baby child, Krishna, is it performing pastimes in Gokul in such a way to conquer the hearts of the devotees and ultimately give every living being the opportunity to be attracted to the infinite sweetness of Krishna. In conventional religion or spirituality, God reveals himself as an all-powerful creator, maintainer, and destroyer of all that exists. Pronounces laws, absolute laws that are meant for everyone to follow, and gives heavenly rewards or hellish punishments to those according to how they respond to those laws. And that Absolute Truth or God manifests incredible, inconceivable power, strength, magnificence. And people obey initially out of fear of what will happen if they do not obey. And gradually, by obeying out of fear, after some time we become purified and love awakens from within us. Of course, sometimes human beings, they attach their own false egos, ahankar, upon their particular conceptions of God. And if God is an all-powerful destroyer, then on behalf of God, we can be all-powerful destroyers. If God conquers everything, we should conquer everyone, according to our conceptions. But actually, the power of God is not supposed to boost our ego. The power of God is meant, by understanding it, to humble us. Here we find the Absolute Truth, the cause of all causes, the supreme source of everything that exists, as a very innocent, beautiful little baby who's just learned how to walk. And although, as the Almighty God tells people to be obedient, here he's acting very disobedient. Why? Some people, they don't understand who Krishna is. They say, how does God expect us to obey him if he doesn't obey? How does he expect us to follow rules if he doesn't follow rules? Krishna, his power, he has a Sudarshan chakra. When he was only 1 or 2 days old, he showed us what he could do to Putana. In the same little size he has, he delivered this incredible demon. There is no possible person who could be as demoniac as Putana in today's world. Yes, we have some cruel people. We have some terrorists, but can you imagine if Putana was here today? She was very evil. She was killing babies by the thousands. And she could manifest a form 12 miles in size. Do you know anyone who could do that? She was extremely powerful. What to speak of Agasura, Pralambasura, Keshi, Aristasura. But Krishna, in his very childlike way, he would deliver all of them. He would not only stop all their atrocities, but he would give them liberation. What government, administrative, Supreme Court justice can give a person liberation? What to speak of elevation to Vaikuntha? Can you show me any policeman or judicial body that can give the worst criminal the position of Krishna's mother in the spiritual world? But Krishna, as a little baby, could do all these things. So when he's acting in this way, when he's performing these pastimes, it's simply to give pleasure to his devotees and to attract the hearts of all the world. And we all have our free will, whether we're willing to open our minds to be attracted by Krishna's beautiful pastimes. The ultimate power of God is God's beauty, God's love, God's sweetness. It is infinitely greater than even his powers. It is his greatest power. Because he is Rasa Bihari. Rasa Bihari means in the spiritual world, and when he comes to this world, his only real purpose ultimately is to enjoy loving relationships. We are conquered by the love of Krishna, and Krishna willingly is conquered by the love of his devotee. In this beautiful story, a revelation of the spiritual world, Yashoda Maya is churning yogurt into butter. And as she's doing it, she's singing wonderful songs about Krishna. It's very early in the morning. And as she's singing about Krishna, thinking about Krishna, her motherly love intensifies and takes the form of milk that starts flowing from her breast. This is an expression of her love. So Krishna, who's in bed, he wakes up and becomes hungry to drink that milk. In other words, Krishna is hungry to taste the sweetness of his devotees' love. So little Gopal runs to his mother, and with one hand he holds the churning rod and stops her from churning, and basically tells her, now it's time to feed me. No more churning. And then he climbs on her lap, and she begins to feed him her milk. As he's enjoying and she's enjoying, looking at his beautiful, beautiful face, the ecstasy of her heart is increasing at every moment. And as the ecstasy increases, the milk gets sweeter, because the milk is her ecstatic love. So her milk is ever increasingly getting sweeter as Krishna is drinking it, as her love is increasing, looking at the beauty of Krishna's face. And Krishna yegatamam prapadyante tams tataiva bhajamyaham. Krishna reciprocates according to how a devotee approaches. So as her milk gets sweeter, seeing the beauty of his face gets more and more beautiful. To Yashoda, it's ever increasing. In this material world, no matter how beautiful people are, they get tired of looking at each other. They always have to put on some new dress or some new cosmetics or something like that. But they get tired of looking at each other. But Krishna and his devotees, this is the spiritual platform. Krishna's beauty is ever increasing. And this is achintya, inconceivable. This is the heart of inconceivability. How could the supreme, all-pervading, unlimited beauty increase in beauty infinitely for the rest of eternity? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. Can't make sense. But that's why it's the absolute truth. It's beyond our imagination. Krishna is the very summit, the culmination, the supreme whole of all beauty. How could something be completely whole? Completely whole means it contains everything. There's nothing beyond it. Yes? That's what whole means. Om Purnamada Purnamidam. Krishna is the absolute truth is the complete whole. It contains everything. Nothing can exist outside of it. But yet, it's ever increasing at every moment. For eternity. That is Krishna. Inconceivable. So Krishna she's seeing her love is increasing, Krishna's beauty is increasing, her milk is getting sweeter and sweeter and sweeter, and Krishna's enjoying it. And what a beautiful Leela of love. And suddenly, she hears something and she looks over, and the milk is boiling over in the next room. She puts Krishna down. This was an emergency situation. It's not something that you just think about. She didn't consult any Brahmins. She didn't get any scriptural references. The milk was boiling over. It's immediate. So she just put Krishna down and ran. Instinctively, intuitively. And the acharyas asked, why in the world would she put Krishna down for some milk boiling over? Yashoda Mai, because that milk was meant for Krishna later than the day. And it was special. Pushpaganda milk. It was from the best. Yashoda Mai, she would get the best grasses. These grasses were, she would water the grass with the milk of the 8 best cows of all the 108 or 900,000 cows of Nanda Maharaj. She would water the grass with these cows, and she would feed the best cows only that grass, the ultimate best grass to the ultimate best cows. And that milk, it had the fragrance of lotus flowers. Now in Kali Yuga today, even lotus flowers hardly have any fragrance. Vrindavan Kadamba flowers are very nice fragrance. But this was very unimaginable fragrance, this milk. Now, for those of you who may drink milk, you don't usually think about its fragrance so much, but this was very, very, very sweet, very delicious. And when she would use that milk to make preparations for Krishna, like sandesh, or burfi, or kheer, she would make so many nice preparations for Krishna. And Krishna would enjoy so much. So she was thinking in terms of the future. Krishna was thinking only of the moment that he was enjoying now. But that's the way mothers are. That's the way parents are supposed to be. They're supposed to be thinking of the future of the child. Usually children, they're thinking of the moment. I want to play. And the parents say, no, it is time for you to go to school. Well, what is the use of school? I don't like school. I like play. Yes? But for the future, you'll be happy because you go to school. The nature of little children, especially babies, they're not so much planning for the future. They want immediate happiness. But the parents' their duty is to plan for the future. And at this end, harmonize, balance that with the present. If we do one or the other, it's not going to have a good result. If we're not thinking of the present moment and we're only thinking of the future, it could create havoc. And if we're only thinking of the future and not if we're only thinking, well, I don't remember what I just said, but it's important to consider both and to address both. So Yashoda Mai put Krishna down to save the milk that would nourish him for the rest of the day. And in her mind she must have been thinking of all the incredibly delicious things she was going to do with that milk for Krishna. She had her plan. So she ran. She made her priority. But Krishna now we see that he's becoming very angry. His anger is not actual anger, it's the source of all anger. But it's ultimately meant always for the devotees' well-being. He wanted to give Yashoda Mai the highest happiness, ever-increasing, loving relationship. So he bites his lip with his teeth, and they're very new teeth too. And he starts to cry. False tears, Srila Prabhupada explains. How could the absolute truth have anything false? Usually we say, when we challenge someone, we say true or false. Yes? Is this true or is this false? Well, the absolute truth, everything is true. But within that absolute trueness is perfect falseness. Because it's simply for the sake of increasing loving relationships. It's like churning the truth and getting so many variegatedness within that truth for the purpose of enjoyment, spiritual enjoyment. And he picks up a stone and breaks the pot of yogurt. And since I'm not giving Srimad Bhagavatam class tomorrow, I'm going to tell you what's going to happen tomorrow. And then he runs over to another room and he takes a grinding mortar, wooden for grinding spices, and he climbs up on it. And there's nice yogurt and butter, freshly churned butter actually, that's hanging from the ropes from the ceiling. It's hanging from the ropes of ceiling so that monkeys can't get it and so that Krishna can't get it. But Krishna climbs up and gets it and eats it and calls the monkeys of Vrindavan, and the monkeys come into the courtyard. And he's feeding them with his own hand. He's giving each of them. He's distributing. It's food for life. It's like midday meals. Krishna's giving the poor monkeys nice butter. And they're very happily eating. Can you imagine taking butter churned by Mother Yashoda with her love for Krishna, and Krishna's putting it in his mouth, and then he's taking his hand out of his mouth, and he's taking handful and putting it right in your hand directly. How fortunate are those monkeys? The monkeys are in complete transcendental happiness eating this butter. They're tasting. What a fortune to be a monkey in Vrindavan like this. Yashoda Mai is, when she's milking the cows, she's only thinking of Krishna's her love for Krishna. And then when she turns it into yogurt, she does it in her love for Krishna. And when she's churning, there's tears in her eyes, and milk of love is coming out of her breast, and she's churning and singing beautiful songs for Krishna. And all that love is going directly right into the butter. And Krishna's accepting it, and he's eating it with love. And as he's eating the butter, it's becoming his Mahaprasad. What spiritually surcharged, empowered Mahaprasad that butter is. And then Krishna is personally, with his own hand, with love and compassion, he's giving it to the monkeys. And all that love and compassion is going into the butter too. What is that taste? Those monkeys must have been absolutely intoxicated. And just then Yashoda Mai, she comes back and she sees the mess that Krishna created. There's the pot all broken. And she follows his little buttery footprints into another room, and she sees Krishna taking all this good butter that she made for him and giving it to monkeys. And there's so many monkeys. They're all over her house. Yes? Krishna's calling all these monkeys right into her house. She smiles. But as a mother, she has to teach Krishna proper lesson. So she picks up a stick, little stick. She would never ever hit Krishna with that stick. But as a mother, she wanted to show him the stick and say, if you do this again, then I will hit you. And then Krishna would, I will never do it again. So she came up behind Lord Krishna. And as soon as she started coming very quietly, she was secretly coming behind. The monkeys. They saw Yashoda Mai with a stick. They immediately ran away. They started jumping out windows and jumping into trees and screaming, and there was fear in their eyes. Now this is a very serious pastime. The psychology in it is so deep. We read, Vajahude manasri nanda nandana abhayat sharanara vindare. When we take shelter of Sri Nanda Nandana, we become fearless. Well, these monkeys, they took shelter of Sri Nanda Nandana. They were eating the butter from the hands of Sri Nandananda, being nourished by his ecstatic love. But when they saw Yashoda, they became very much afraid, spontaneously afraid. They screeched and ran away. They were so afraid they were willing to leave that incredible scene of taking butter from the hand of Krishna. So is this a contradiction? This is Achintya Bheda Bheda Tattva. It is simultaneously a contradiction and not a contradiction. How is that possible? It's not possible. That's why it's transcendental, because it's not possible. Because their fear was nothing like the fear in this material world. Fear in this world is fear of death, fear of losing something that is very dear to us. And fear in this world, it inhibits happiness. But this fear, on the transcendental level, is actually the perfection of fearlessness. These monkeys are totally fearless because they have taken shelter of Krishna. But the fear is the love of Yashoda. They're overpowered by her love. And her love can make Krishna cry. In fact, even Krishna became afraid. He followed the monkeys. The story gets even more exciting, more deep. The monkeys were afraid. How could the monkeys be afraid if they took shelter of Nanda Nandana? When anyone who takes shelter of Nanda Nandana becomes fearless. Well, Nanda Nandana became afraid. So what to speak of the monkeys who took shelter of him? He jumped off the grinding mortar and ran away in fear. And Yashoda Mai was chasing him, and he was running. He was running fast. And she was running fast. And he was running faster, and she was running faster. And they were running. And flowers were falling from her hair, and her sari was becoming loosened. And the Acharyas tell us that the Upanishads describe the absolute truth as faster than the wind, faster than the fastest. Nobody can catch the absolute truth. But the absolute truth willingly is captured by the love of a devotee. So Yashoda Mai catches Krishna. And Krishna is so much afraid. We read here in the words of Shukadev Goswami and Satyavrat Muni from Padma Purana in his Damodaraskakam gives a beautiful picture of this scene. Krishna's lips are trembling, looking here and there and everywhere else for some possibility to escape. But Yashoda Mai is holding him. Very gentle, but tight enough so he can't get away. He's trapped. And he's telling his mother, I won't do it again. Please don't hit me. Put that stick away. Little Gopal afraid of a little stick. And it wasn't like a big bamboo. What do you call them? Lathis or something? It was just a little twig. He wasn't afraid of Putana. A little later, he's not going to be afraid of Trinavarta or Shakatasura or Vatsasura. He's not even afraid of Indra. But he's afraid of this little stick. He's crying, please put that stick away. And Mother Yashoda throws the stick. So this beautiful pastime, it unfolds, and it has been told and retold hundreds of millions of times by great scholars, philosophers, and devotees throughout the ages. Krishna is Hari, which means one who steals. And he steals our hearts. When our heart becomes soft and sweet, like freshly churned butter, then Krishna will steal our heart. What makes the heart hard? And what makes the heart soft? This is what devotees must be very careful to understand. Srila Rupa Goswami explains real surrender to Krishna, in order to facilitate that to come about within our own lives. Two principles is we must accept what is favorable for devotional service and reject what is unfavorable for devotional service. We accept what makes the heart soft, and we reject what makes the heart hard. Arrogance, egoism makes the heart hard. Humility makes it soft. Greed makes the heart hard. Generosity, a service attitude, makes the heart soft. The modes of passion and ignorance make the heart hard. The mode of goodness makes the heart soft. When we chant the holy names of the Lord, it's like churning the heart. The churning makes it very soft, very sweet. But if while we're churning, if we engage in sinful activities, finding the good qualities in others makes the heart soft. Finding faults in others makes the heart very hard. This fault-finding propensity. So we have these 10 offenses to the holy names. We have these 4 regulative principles. We have the understanding of Vaishnava etiquette. All these principles are there to make our heart very soft, so that when we churn it with the chanting of the holy names, then Lord Hari, Krishna, Makanchor will be very attracted to steal our hearts. This is a science. And we find among devotees of the Lord, sometimes, Srila Prabhupada explains, great personalities, they could be softer than a rose or harder than a thunderbolt, depending on what is required to serve with humility and devotion. So people who have soft hearts in Krishna consciousness, their heart may be very, very soft with love, with compassion, but at the same time, greatly determined. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami tells us that Raghunath Das Goswami, his determination to follow the regulative principles, he chanted 200,000 names every day. He offered 1,000 Dandavat pranams, obeisances to Vaishnavas every day. 1,000 obeisances to Krishna every day. He would do parikrama of Govardhan every day. How did he have time for all this? Somehow or other. He just had such enthusiasm. And he would just not miss. It says, Kaviraj Goswami tells us, the observance of his determined vows were like the lines in stone. It's like you see the lines in this marble. Marble is stone. No matter how much you cut deeper and deeper and deeper into the marble, the lines are still there. Yes? Like lines in stone. They are just there permanently. They can't be erased. You can't erase a line in marble. Of course, sometimes when they make deities, they paint it so you don't see it. But later on, the paint comes off and then you see it. You can't get rid of it. You could cover it, but you can't get rid of it. The lines in stone. That's the determination of a devotee. So a devotee could be very forceful. Arjuna, his heart was soft like freshly churned butter. But yet for Krishna's service, he fought the battle of Kurukshetra in such a heroic and fearless way. And that balance is a very, very important part of the true understanding of bhakti. It's not that bhakti means our heart becomes soft so we become so sentimental that we're not willing to boldly carry out the order of Krishna. And at the same time, the tendency is, in the name of carrying out the order of Krishna or Guru with determination, we can become very hard-hearted. Hanuman is another example. Who could have a softer heart than Hanumanji? When Hanumanji was crying in separation from Ram, and someone said, "Ram is in your heart, no need to cry." And Hanuman was so enthusiastic to see Ram. This is enthusiastic, lolium. He ripped open his chest and ripped open his heart. He wasn't concerned with anything except seeing Ram. How many of you have that enthusiasm? He didn't even think about it. You know, if you rip open your chest and rip open your heart, most of us would die. But Hanuman, Krishna reciprocated with his enthusiasm in such a way that there was Ram and Sita. They actually, just to save his life from ripping anything else open, they actually incarnated and appeared personally within his heart, saying, "Yeah, here we are, here we are." Be happy. Sita was blessing him, Ram was smiling, and Hanuman started crying tears of ecstasy. He knew that he was, and I guess he closed everything up after that. Because he knew the Lord was in his heart. That's all he needed to know. He didn't have to see them anymore. He knew they were there. So beautiful. So Hanuman, such a soft-hearted, loving person. Absolutely compassionate. But yet, when he was face to face with Ravana, he told, imagine, he's all alone. And you have Indrajit and all of the great military generals and the armies of Ravana surrounding you. And Ravana's right there. And Hanuman said to Ravana, "You are a fool, you are a coward." Now, if there's anything that is an insult to a Rakshasa warrior like Ravana, it's to call him a coward. Yes, in front of everyone. He publicly blasphemed Ravana in the worst possible way. That was his fearlessness. So bold, so powerful, so fearless. But yet his heart was like freshly churned butter. So this balance of being bold and determined in our devotional service according to the need, and at the same time totally humble, trinadapi sunichena, soft-hearted and compassionate, that is a Vaishnava.